A few days later, Elizabeth's father had fully recovered. He personally took his entire family from house to house, visiting each villager who had carried him home, expressing his gratitude one by one. He said to Elizabeth, "I am truly grateful to that young man from the grasslands who saved me. If I ever have the chance, I would like to thank him in person." Elizabeth was also very happy. She told her parents in detail how Alaric had saved her. Her mother praised Alaric as a tall and handsome young man, and also noted that he could speak the language of the Great Kingdom. Her two younger brothers admired him greatly, especially his ability to ride freely across the plains. From that moment on, Elizabeth missed Alaric even more. She would often look out of the window, hoping that he might appear at her doorstep. Afraid that she might miss him if he came, she would sometimes run outside the gate and look around in all directions, searching for his figure. The villagers passing by would curiously ask whom she was looking for. She would simply smile and say nothing. One elderly villager said, "Oh, you must be waiting for the young man who saved your father. Why don't you go to the market and ask the traders from the grasslands? Perhaps they would know." Elizabeth thought this made sense. She ran to the market and, a little shyly, asked several traders whether they knew Alaric. One trader said, "You must be talking about the prince of our largest tribe. His father has just passed away, and he is now the new king of the tribe. He is currently trying to persuade all the other tribes. He hopes to unite all the tribes of the grasslands into a great kingdom. He is very busy. I'm afraid you won't be able to see him for quite some time." Upon hearing that she might not see Alaric for a long time, Elizabeth immediately felt disheartened. She left the market with her head lowered and walked toward home. When she reached a corner of the street, she suddenly heard the loud neighing of a horse. Looking up, she saw a man dressed like a general in armor sitting on a tall horse. He was pulling hard on the reins to prevent the horse from colliding with her. Because he pulled too forcefully, the horse reared up on its hind legs, lifting its front legs high into the air, its entire body rising upright as it stretched its neck and kneed toward the sky. Elizabeth was terrified. She tightly shut her eyes, covered her face with both hands, and stood frozen in place. The armored general was thrown heavily from the horse to the ground. His horse also fell backward. People nearby quickly rushed over to help him up. Elizabeth also hurried forward and asked if he was injured. The general saw Elizabeth and immediately froze. He had never seen such a beautiful young woman before. As he stared at her face, he could no longer hear the voices around him. He smiled foolishly and said, "I'm fine. It is my honor to meet you, my angel. My name is Apollo. What is your name?" Elizabeth, feeling embarrassed under his intense gaze, said, "My name is Elizabeth. I'm sorry, I didn't notice you and your horse just now. I'm glad you are not hurt." Elizabeth helped call others to assist him to his feet, and someone also helped the horse stand up. The general mounted his horse again. From atop the horse, he bent slightly and saluted Elizabeth. "My dear Miss Elizabeth," he said, "I am truly delighted to meet you. Your beauty is unparalleled. I very much wish to talk with you and become your friend. However, I have urgent business to attend to. I must meet the governor. I hope to see you again soon. I wish you health, beautiful Miss Elizabeth." After speaking, he urged his horse forward and rode toward the city. Someone in the crowd said, "Oh, that is the young General Apollo. He is the captain of the King's Royal Guard." The crowd gradually dispersed. Elizabeth regained her composure and turned to walk home. After returning home, she still thought about Alaric every day. One day, her aunt and uncle suddenly came to visit. Her aunt said excitedly, "My dear niece, the governor has somehow heard about you. He has recommended you to the king to become a court lady. You will no longer need to help your parents farm. You will become a member of the royal palace." Elizabeth was surprised. "But I do not want to become part of the palace," she said. "I am happy being with my family." Her aunt continued persuading her. "My foolish child, do you know what an honor it is to be in the palace? You will have wealth, beautiful clothes, and perhaps even be chosen by a nobleman to become his wife. Then your whole family could become nobles." Seeing that Elizabeth remained unmoved, her aunt spoke more sternly. The governor will send people to take you tomorrow. If you refuse, it will be considered a crime. They will punish your parents. You wouldn't want your parents to suffer imprisonment, would you? Elizabeth was frightened. She lowered her head and remained silent. She thought to herself, I can only follow God's will. The next day, the governor's guards arrived. They read the king's decree, brought many gifts, and asked Elizabeth to say goodbye to her family. Then they took her away in a carriage. The carriage stopped at the governor's residence for half a day. The governor personally received Elizabeth. He had her change clothes, taught her court etiquette, and then sent her into the royal palace. Elizabeth arrived in a large hall in the palace. Dozens of young women dressed in elegant gowns were already there, chatting excitedly. A tall young woman said, Do you know? The queen has just passed away. The king needs a new queen. He will choose one from among us. Everyone gathered around, talking excitedly. The tall girl continued, In a few days, the royal painter will come to paint portraits of us. He is greedy. If you bribe him, he will paint you as extraordinarily beautiful. Then you might be chosen by the king and become the new queen. The girls continued chattering. Elizabeth found it rather amusing. Why bribe the painter? Why must one become queen? That evening, after dinner, Captain Apollo found Elizabeth. He said excitedly, My dear Miss Elizabeth, I am very happy to see you in the palace. I hope you enjoy life here. However, unfortunately, I cannot take care of you personally. Tomorrow I will march west to the grasslands to fight the barbarian tribes. If I win and return triumphantly, the king will grant me the title of Great General and confer upon me a noble rank. At that time, I will ask for your hand in marriage. Please look forward to my victorious return. Elizabeth was shocked. She quickly asked, Do you know who you will be fighting? Apollo smiled. I have heard that the tribes of the grasslands have formed an alliance kingdom. They have chosen a young king. I will face his tribe in battle. If I win, all tribes will submit to our king. Elizabeth felt uneasy, but did not know what to say. She forced a smile, bowed slightly, and quickly turned away. Apollo called after her, My dear Miss Elizabeth, do not worry for me. I will surely defeat them and return to marry you. Later, the royal painter came to paint portraits of the new court ladies. The girls prepared gold, silver, and gifts, waiting outside the studio, chatting and laughing. Only Elizabeth sat quietly with empty hands, saying nothing. She was worried about the war. She was worried about Alaric. Her heart was filled with unease. When it was her turn, she entered the studio. The painter was stunned by her beauty, but seeing that she brought no gifts, he asked, Did you not prepare anything? Elizabeth, lost in thought, replied casually, Prepare? No. What is there to prepare? The painter was angered by her indifferent attitude. He thought she was looking down on him. He picked up his brush and tried to find flaws in her face, but could find none. In the end, he had no choice but to combine the flaws he had seen in others and paint them onto her portrait. When the king received the portraits, he looked through them carefully. He could not choose anyone he liked. When he saw Elizabeth's portrait, he was furious. How could such an ugly woman be selected into the palace? He thought. Someone must have accepted bribes. This is an insult to me. He threw the portrait to the ground and stomped on it angrily. After sighing, he picked it up and placed it among the other rejected portraits. One day, a messenger from the front lines returned. He knelt before the king, crying, Your Majesty, we have suffered a great defeat. The enemy's new leader is a young man. He killed General Apollo in battle. He also killed several other generals during the pursuit. His army has reached the outskirts of the capital and demands an audience with your Majesty. The king collapsed into his seat. The court fell into silence. Finally, an old minister said, Your Majesty, we should agree to meet him. But he must bring no more than 2 attendants. You should grant him the title of King of the Grasslands and personally choose a queen for him. He will be grateful and submit to you. The king thought for a moment and agreed. The next day, the new king of the Grassland Alliance, Alaric, entered the palace with 2 attendants. Everyone looked at him with astonishment. He was tall, powerful, and his eyes were bright with strength. No wonder Apollo had not been his match. The king granted him kingship, wealth, and alliance. Then he added, "I will also grant you a beautiful woman to be your queen." Alaric was about to refuse, but the king ordered the portraits to be brought. He had no choice but to look through them. Among them, he picked up a wrinkled, dirty portrait. Elizabeth was summoned. The king stared in shock. "You are Elizabeth?" She smiled and nodded. Then, she turned and saw Alaric. Alaric stood frozen. He could not understand what was happening. The woman he had longed for was suddenly before him. In his heart, he said, "God, you truly love your people." And from that day on, they lived together happily on the endless grasslands.